Happy Friday. Happy Mental Health Month. And welcome to H&D Abroad. I am Dee, and at least once a week, I come on with my sisters to explore topics that are a part of my personal discovery journey, but also I think information that can help you connect better to yourself at whatever point in your journey to be your best self. Whatever that looks like, that is what we're here to gather together and do. I am so excited because Dr. Kimani has been on this channel before. I'm going to make sure that I link all of the previous videos where she has joined me. And like today, I realized, as I say, I was today years old and realized I have not had Marissa on our
I
channel.
know, I thought it was
Like,
something.
how did that even happen? That cannot happen. So I want to say thank you to Marissa Price of Marissa Price Heals and Dr. Kimani Norrington Sands, who is Lifting as We Climb Consulting. But these ladies elevate themselves as healers and as champions of Black women, specifically to host the virtual Job Liberation Summit. If you have not heard of this summit before, where have you been? I have had these ladies on to talk about this summit before, so you know this is the third year, if my second year.
Second.
Okay, I'm already prophesying
Thank you.
year three. Okay, but this is their second year bringing Black women together. They've had multiple master classes around a variety of different topics about, navigating yourself in the HR workplace, financial literacy, but this brings it all together. 3 days, May 16 to May 18, that really helps you to see, look, I know I want to do things different in the workplace. I want to be a better person, and the workplace is going to get impacted. When I disrupt the flow, there are going to be, there are going to be some consequences. Because that is just the nature of the ripple. And I'm so honored to have these two ladies to do that with us today. To let's drop the pebble on what's happening around trusting yourself and really recognizing and raising the volume on our gut instincts, which I think for some people has been silenced.
Yes.
Me. And I am on a healing process, as I know several Black women that are in this community circle that are joining right now. Hello, Cheryl, PhD. Hello, Bajan Alpha 4. As you come in, you know what we do. We greet each other with loving kindness. We get in the chat and greet each other. And that is because community has been the most pivotal part of my healing journey. I'm hoping that you will connect today, that you'll learn more about the Job Liberation Virtual Summit community that doesn't just happen for 3 days. You get some friends, you get some connections, and you continue to grow together. All right, Kyoka. Kyoka is in the chat. The sisters are gathering, and we are so thankful. So what I'm going to do is have Marissa introduce herself. Dr. Kimani, if you'll introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right into the video introducing the Job Liberation Summit, and then double down on today's conversation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, Dee. Thank you so much for having me on. My name is Marissa Price. I'm a social worker. I'm a healing practitioner, helping Black women heal from traumatic experiences. I also have a community called Black Women Freelancers, which is a free community if you are interested in starting a freelance business, in revamping a freelance business to take ownership over your skills and really like work with your ideal clients, which is new, right? That we have the option to do this as Black women. But yes, I have a YouTube channel, Marissa Price Heals, as well as Black Women Freelancers on YouTube. Also the co-founder of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women coming up May 16th through 18th. We also have bonus Zoom sessions for the All Access Pass holders, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday following the weekend. So yeah, looking forward to a jam-packed, beautiful weekend coming up. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yay. And I want to say again, thank you, Dee, for allowing us to be here. I was telling Dee off camera, she is glowing. I mean, glowing, just like her skin is just beautiful. So I just wanted to just, woo, girl. Okay. So I am Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist of over 20 years. I'm also a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. I'm the co-host, co-founder of the second annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. I have a YouTube channel as well, Lifting Us with Climb Consulting Wellness Services, where I show the gamut of experiences for Black women in the workplace. And I provide different resources so that Black women, we know that we're not alone in these toxic work environments. 2, that we know that we have options. And 3, to provide different resources available for us to pivot and pivot well.
100%. So it is no secret. I'm going to share a resource. When I know it, I'm going to share it. And I think that is the power of Black women. I think that is the power of being a part of a tribe that says, I'm here to receive, but there's an expectation and something that happens within me when I have something to give. So this today, y'all, is my something to give. So what I'm going to do is cue up this, the first few minutes of this introduction to the Job Liberation Summit. And the link to the full video is in the description for today's presentation. So.
Are you a Black woman who is looking to make your pivot from a job that's not serving you?
What's happening to them is not the result of unconscious bias. That's a bunch of unconscious BS.
I didn't deserve any of it, and you don't either.
If you've ever been overlooked, boxed in, underpaid or underestimated or told to wait your turn,
The people that are working together to destroy your career know exactly what they're doing.
yeah, you can't heal in the environment that harmed you. You got to pick up your feet and leave.
We have been led to believe that we have to shrink ourselves to fit into systems that weren't built for us in the first place.
We know, unfortunately, as Black women, a lot of us experience many toxic work environments.
And it does more than just drain our energies. It actually challenges our very essence. Right?
The Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women is for you.
It's
Okay, so if you're not ready to experience this space, many of us recognize the faces in that video. If you don't, this will open the aperture of who is talking the talk and not just saying, I was liberated. They are sharing their personal experiences and the growth of that. But every story has an origin. Every story begins with a shift. Most of us feel the feels, have felt the feel. I mean, you know, a baby will cry for hunger, for companionship. And then we learn to soothe ourselves, to quiet ourselves. As a part of the human nature of being able to care for ourselves. But what happens with toxic work environments is completely different. I say that this conversation is a scaffolding. So we're talking about the workplace, but you know, we've been silenced in other places and spaces as well. Sometimes in religious settings, sometimes in the home, sometimes in relationships, but the workplace itself is is its own environment. So can you guys, without injury to yourself, because this is a safe space, to say, I am a Black woman healing, to borrow Glamzini, to borrow Rajni's, I am a Black woman healing. Can we just set the conversation for how the shift happened for you?
I'll start, and I'll try to frame it in the sense of how other Black women have related to my story.
Mhm.
So I'm going to share it in that regard because I share my story, not only because it's healing for me, it's therapeutic. So as a therapist, part of trauma treatment, because I experienced workplace trauma, part of trauma treatment is to continue to metabolize the trauma. So I'm metabolizing the trauma out loud so that other Black women can see, oh, this is how you metabolize it. And for me, it is liberating for me to tell my side of the story because the job, they had their own version of the story, how they were lying on me and dehumanize, all that kind of stuff. And I had to say, wait a minute, stop trying to confront some people who are committed to never understanding you. They're committed to continue to demean you. I was like, no, I'm going to save my time and I'm going to focus on Black women who are able to hear me. So I'm going to tell my story, but I'm kind of break it down in segments and how other Black women might relate. So when I came into the job, it was a wonderful experience. I was so happy because it was really like an ideal kind of job. It was like I had wonderful Black women supervisors whom I'm still connected to this day. So the work, I was like inspired by the work I was doing for many years. It was a great experience. Many of us have that experience. You come to the workplace, it seems great, right? You have good supervisors, it seems great. Then those two Black women, they retired. So what I've heard before from other Black women and what I experienced is once that change in leadership happens, then it's a whole different experience because many times the people who may have been supervising you, they may have been a buffer to the toxic stress, right? So once they were gone, then I had a position of going from pet to threat. So pet to threat, again, Black women relate to this. Pet to threat created by 3 Black women researchers, Dr. Juanita Johnson-Bailey, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps. Black woman comes into the workplace or she is sought out because of her outstanding work abilities and they love her, right? Then they love me because I was doing these things. I was bringing attention. They loved it, right? I'm the pet. Oh, you're a rock star. Oh, only you can do this. Oh, right? So the pet. Then I started outshining other people in the workplace. Okay. Then now they were never admit to that because these are deeply insecure people. So the way that they responded to that was there was a shift in terms of I was no longer the pet, now I was a threat. And they did whatever they could to demean me, to humiliate me, and try to get me to quit. So they did certain things such as, now keep in mind, Black women, as you're watching this, outstanding work evaluations, right? Being sought out for leadership positions, doing up and above, getting promotions, all the bells and whistles. I was getting those things. But when I started outshining people and it was looking too uncomfortable, right? And well, there's a lot of things happened. But anyway, so I was outshining people. Then there was a shift. So I was demoted to my entry-level position. So I had been promoted. Then I got demoted to my entry-level position. So I'd been there about 11 years at that point, demoted. You may have a similar experience. Out of the blue, you don't know what happened. Boom. And then from that point, just a series of humiliating things that they would do to me, they were really trying to get me to quit. Okay. So it was just a lot of just ridiculous things that happened. And I started experiencing symptoms, physical and psychological symptoms. So gained a lot of weight. I'm still trying to get the weight off. It's coming off slowly, but gained a lot of weight, headaches, stomach issues, difficulty sleeping. My hair was falling out. My hair is very thick, even though I wear braids now. Very thick hair. I'm telling you, the whole back was just broken off. It was just looked like somebody just chopped off parts of my hair. Okay. Then I started having these really bad nosebleeds, even though I never had nosebleeds ever in my life. Then I'm experiencing other symptoms. I'm so sad that I could barely get out of bed. The alarm would go off and I would dread getting up every day to go to work. Okay. So that was exhausting to even get out of bed. I'm anxious all the time about what's going to happen, what's going to happen. I'm masking all day of the work at the job because I know I'm in a hostile work environment. I know it. I know how they treat me. They just demoted me, right? And then they gaslit me talking about, oh, we don't like how she's handling this. You demoted me, but you don't like how I'm handling it, as if I'm the problem, right? And so it was just this continual thing that happened, but it was really a way to put me in my place. How dare I do these things? We're going to put you in your place. And so it got to a point, D, where I had to say, wait a minute. I am fighting to do my job. I'm fighting to advocate for the rights of Black children at this job, but they're not going to allow me to do that. I'm getting sicker and sicker and sicker trying to do that. And while I'm committed to the work and committing to helping any student in the school district, particularly Black students, I think about my own kids. I have my own kids at home. What about what they were getting? They were getting a shell of their mother because I'm exhausted fighting people all day at work. So it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm also in therapy at this point too, with a Black woman therapist. And she repeatedly told me, she was reality testing with me. She was like, no, it's not you, it's them. This is a crazy situation. You have to leave, because I was telling her how much stress I was under. And she said, look, you're going to have to go, because if you don't go, the stress is going to end up killing you. Now, I believed her because I'd seen Black women at the job who were not that much older than me developing cancer, having heart attacks, having strokes, dying. I'd seen that. Okay. So I already knew that. She also told me that that environment was too small for me and that she could see me at a higher level. Right. She was like, no. This place is way too small for you. I don't even see you here anymore. What are you doing here anymore? I see you at a much higher level, and you could do the work in a different capacity, but not at this place, because these people are deeply insecure. Okay. And so she's telling me this stuff. And so I still was struggling on D, because I kept trying to make logical sense out of it. Again, so I'm saying to Black women, you're not going to make logical sense out of things it's not logical. It's not logical. Number one, you don't know who's connected to who in the workplace. Number two, you don't know the true politics behind the scenes. You do not know that. The other thing is, my dear friend Colette Elizabeth says this. She said, be very mindful in the workplace of three qualities: people who are deeply insecure, incompetent, immature. That is exactly what I was dealing with. So when you have those qualities in the workplace, you will never logically figure that out, because it's illogical. Okay. So I was just still trying to what's going on? Doesn't make any sense. I'm such a good employee. But then now spiritually, I'm questioning God. God, why would you put me here? Why would you do this to me? Things were good at first. Now they turn really bad. I'm a really great employee. All these things I've contributed to the workplace. Why would you do this to me, God? And my therapist said to me, God is saving you from this environment. This is a rescue mission from God. You are not paying attention. You're not paying attention. God is giving you signs that this is not the place for you. After all this time, I was like, okay, I need to take a leave of absence, because they had me all messed up. Okay, they had me all messed up. So I took a leave of absence. When I took my leave, I was like, I'm never coming back to this place. I knew it. I was like, I'm never coming back here. Of course, I never told them that. I took the leave. I was gone for a year. As soon as I started taking that leave, I started doing things to replace my income, because I said, okay, I'm going to need to find ways to replace this income. What do I need to do? So I looked at the lowest hanging fruit. Black women, pay attention to this. Okay. I thought about, what are my transferable skills? What are the skills that I already utilized at that job? Or what were the skills I had even before I came into that job? That's the lowest hanging fruit. Okay. I'll transition to do telehealth. I'm a therapist. So I started doing that. And from there, I started building up my money. Okay. Yet I'm still fearful.
So, because what I'm recognizing in your story is sometimes it's the big red stop sign with flashing lights.
Yes.
Gaslighting can look just like that. There's such
Yeah.
but that's not the insidious nature of gaslighting. It's literally, from my perspective, and
Mhm.
that's what I was going to ask Marissa is it really making it's subtle enough for you to question yourself? Is that
Absolutely.
really
Yes.
the insidious nature of
Mhm.
gaslighting? Can you talk a little bit? Because I feel like people either need to have an interruption
Mhm.
event like, why am I being demoted, so that you step back, or
Yeah.
is it something else? What have you heard? Because you've heard the stories and you have your own. How
Mhm.
how can gaslighting be the piece, recognizing it, be the piece of what begins to open the door to make you say, nah, not today.
Mhm.
Yeah, so often it shows up like microaggressions in
Mhm.
the workplace, right? Like questioning your authority, your ability to be there. I know I experienced the person in question like talking over me during
Mhm.
meetings that I was supposed to be leading. So
Mm.
questioning your right to be there when we have poured so much of ourselves. Getting these jobs is not easy, right?
Right.
We have to work so much harder than everyone else to get in these positions. And then to have your authority, your education sometimes called into question, that can
Mhm.
be deeply like unsettling to your
Mhm.
spirit, right? And you'll start to pick yourself apart from the
Mhm.
inside.
Mhm.
And I've made like a number of videos on this, like self gaslighting. So when people around us start to gaslight us, right, start to doubt our reality, which is what gaslighting is, we
Mhm.
will start to internalize that if we're not aware of what's happening, which
Mhm.
is why like the information we're sharing is so powerful, right? This
Yeah.
is a strategic thing that is in play in workplaces that specifically targets Black women. We have seen this globally. And
Mhm.
as we share our stories, there are like common threads through it, right?
Yeah.
Again, questioning your ability to be there, your
Mhm.
ability to perform the job,
Mhm.
being underpaid when we speak up about things that are like real issues, then
Mhm.
we're like gaslit about that, right? Why aren't you
Mhm.
just grateful for having a job, right?
Mm.
All these things that like plant seeds of doubt really deep
Mhm.
inside your psyche and your spirit, and they
Mhm.
cause you to like go down the spiral of again taking yourself apart, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not that skilled. Maybe the skills that I came in, maybe they disappeared, right?
Mm.
Even with working with Black women freelancers, that's one of the huge barriers to becoming a freelancer. Recognizing that you have skills, because these workplaces have told us time and time again through different means.
Mhm.
And one of our bonus summit speakers, Jackie Abrams, speaks about this too, like the impact of covert discrimination in the
Mhm.
workplace, which really transitioned, right? So many of us have experienced like the undercover trying to ding your self worth, your
Yeah.
self esteem that people engage in. And that can be really crazy making,
Yeah.
right? Which is right, the importance of community to be
Mhm.
able to reflect back to you, you're not making it up, right?
Mhm.
Recognizing that gaslighting is a tool of oppression,
Yes.
right? In holding tight to your reality and what you know to be true, which is why
Mhm.
we're creating safe spaces for us to share what has happened to us.
Yeah. In addition to community therapy too, because it's often a form of workplace trauma. So there's things that we can do in community, yet there's also times that we need professional help as well.
Yes.
This right here,
Yes.
am
Mhm.
I too sensitive? I just did 2 shorts on this because I was like, well, maybe, my skin isn't as thick as it used to be, and I'm taking
Mhm.
everything personally.
Mhm.
And that is a form of gaslighting. Like,
It
It
is.
is.
I mean, um, and the sad part for my story was they didn't. It's like you you lay down the markers and then I draw myself into the box.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
So they don't even need to continue it at a high level. They've
Yes.
laid down enough landmines that I feel like I've run into, that now I begin to say, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't show up as my authentic self.
Mhm.
Um, does my hair, does my tone of voice, does my ability to say, "Hmm, this is one that I've heard a lot of my graduate level friends talk about is, uh, you have a PhD, you don't have an MD, so we don't want to call you doctor. Like,
What?
when I'm telling y'all, it is it to hear us say it, and then we go, well, maybe they're right.
Mm-hmm.
That is the gaslighting part. But as Dr. Kimani talked about, there's also the physical manifestation of trying to turn yourself off, to turn the warning
Mm-hmm.
system that your body has for protecting yourself, to
Mm-hmm.
slowly turn it down and then turn it off.
Yeah.
So this session today is relearning safety. How do I push back? Not just them. How do I push my personal boundaries back so that I can hear myself and trust myself and sense myself? So,
Mm.
Marissa, do you want to dig into that a little bit, Dr. Kimani? I mean,
Yeah.
both of you guys have professionally
Mm-hmm.
convergent but divergent ways that you can come at addressing this.
Yeah. First, I want to say I so appreciate this dialogue, because the more we talk about these experiences, you can see how complex. There's so much complexities involved in these situations. And when you were talking, Dee, I actually had an aha moment when you talked about, PhD, and oh, you don't have this, so we're not da da da, and then you're trying to like, oh, and maybe I don't. You're trying to shrink a little bit. I just had an aha moment. So when I was at the toxic job, most of the people within my unit were not PhDs. I think I was like the only one at that point in my unit, maybe with a PhD. I definitely was the only clinical psychologist in that unit, right? Everybody else had a different degree. They were master's level. I was a PhD. Then we had some psychiatrists. But what's interesting, Dee, was that a lot of the people within that unit, the workplace bully and her minions, they never acknowledged my degree. Never. And so my shrinking, right, was, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't need to acknowledge my degree. But that said so much. That was a huge red flag that I was ignoring for the sake of, oh, I don't want to cause a problem, or I don't want to make people uncomfortable, or I want them to all think that we're the same. And again, it wasn't like I'm trying to pull rank on anybody. However, there was no acknowledgement whatsoever. And that was saying something to me, and I wasn't paying attention. So I'm glad you said it in the way you did, because that was a way early on, that was a way to kind of keep me in my place. And that was a way for me to kind of contort, to kind of fall in line, basically.
Marissa,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like from a social and behavioral science perspective, that as we internalize things, these are not just words. We are changing the chemical connections in our brain,
Yes.
that for things that should not be triggering
Mm-hmm.
become triggering, and things, and from a historical, but also, I mean, things that should be my personality type should not be targeted. And so I keep going back to the highly sensitive person. HSP is a term that is out there. Can you talk about gaslighting and maybe even that particular personality type?
Yeah, I think so. I consider myself a highly sensitive person, and it's very easy for me to internalize what's happening externally, which is what happened to me in the job that I was in. And how I began to resist that, first of all, getting into community, that was the first step, where I was able to hear other Black women share their stories. And it does something where you're able to see, this happened to her. I see how brilliant she is. Like, how could she be experiencing this? And then you start to reflect on your own experiences. Oh, that's happening to me too. So there must be like a thread that's through these workplaces. Sometimes, like when we share our experiences in the chat, it feels like we're at the same workplace because we're living in systems of oppression. right?
So
Where all of us are navigating, right? Systemic sexism, anti-Blackness. In intersectionality tells us that the multiple identities you have outside of the dominant one, your experience with oppression will be even more severe, right?
Yeah.
So just to keep that in mind. But I think for me, it was getting into therapy, getting into community with other Black women sharing their stories. My therapist was able to, like Dr. Kamani said, reality test with me and literally tell me it was the environment. It wasn't me. And that was kind of an aha moment I had. Starting to make my exit plan, keeping notes for myself on a personal device was really important to me, like voice notes about the feelings that I was experiencing when I was in a meeting with this certain person, right? Because again, I thought it was me. So I had gone into therapy originally, like asking her to help me cope with this environment because I thought it was me. And so just to realize, right, through those notes that I had taken, through the voice notes, I was able to see the pattern of behavior that this person was exhibiting, that the workplace itself was toxic, that there was a lot of gaslighting going on with the mission that I was supposed to be upholding, that I came in good faith to uphold, but a lot of the actions behind the scenes, they were not in line with the mission, right? And that did a certain level of damage to me too, with the role that I was in. Having to be out in front of people talking about these initiatives and then seeing what was going on behind the scenes and knowing how different it was. So the process of taking notes, therapy, getting into community, sharing my story, there's this really, I found like magical effect when you're able to like open up on your own time and share what has happened to you. It kind of like puts sunlight on what you thought, like on what felt shameful before. When you feel isolated and like you're the only one going through it and you don't want to share, and sometimes we like go inward even more, when you're able to like open up and start to share with safe people and they're able to reflect back to you, there's nothing wrong with you, that does something for those feelings of self-gaslighting, right? Then you're able to see, it's not me, right? It was just them. It was a toxic environment. It was the systems of oppression that were trying to take me down.
Yeah, shame. You said shame. Like, I feel like that is a specific button that gaslighting specifically touches in a lot of us. And if you are healing and that is unresolved, if there are points of shame in your life, like, I feel like that button is easier to push. So I'm asking you to acknowledge your feelings. Y'all, it took me, I've been in therapy, in and out of therapy over the course of my adult life. But when you can articulate what is happening and how you are feeling, even before you have a career break, is what Dr. Kimani was able to say that she did. If you're not able to make the break, you can at least begin to acknowledge how you feel. Let's see. I was an undergrad psychology student, so we had the feelings chart. I've worked in mental health, I've worked in substance abuse, but sometimes you need a vocabulary for what is actually happening to you. And if you have quieted the emotional identification, if you have shut off that ability within yourself, I think a feelings chart could be a great place to start as you are trying to identify it. And then, not from a re-trauma aspect of hearing other stories, but sometimes you need to recognize that the Me Too part is a powerful shift that can happen. So I'm saying that the Job Liberation Summit, for me, the virtual summit, is representing an opportunity to see in real time where I can take it if I've started to, like, something's not right. You can be in the really early stages of, I know I need to leave, but I don't want to be run up out of here. But
Mm,
like it's something that there's a conflict happening here.
mhm.
Where on folks' journey? That's how I feel about the virtual summit.
Uh-huh.
Talk to me about who is the summit for, because those of us who have been able to have a career break and our bodies are like, I wish you would try to go back and do it the same way. I wish you would. But is it also for those of us who are just like, something's not right? I feel this urgency to leave, or I don't want to get out of bed. Like that, I don't want to go to work. Even
Mm,
if you have a remote job and something's not right with that.
yeah.
Talk about that connection for
Yeah.
us.
So I want to go back to a little bit of what you said before, Dee, about trauma and talking about trauma and feeling the validation of what we're going through. So one, we think about psychological wellness is connecting to our emotions. So to be able to identify, this is how I feel. The other part is, this is why I feel this way. So making that connection to why we feel that way. And I do a lot of training on trauma, and I'm a therapist. I'm just breaking down just a little bit, right? So for us to be able to say, oh, I feel this way because of that job, and that's affecting how I think, I feel, and I act. Okay, got that. And the way I'm feeling because of this job, it makes sense. So now we're validated. So you don't feel like you're crazy, you're alone, there's something wrong with you. It makes sense. A lot of the symptoms that we're having in the workplace, because many times it's workplace trauma, this is a trauma reaction. It's a trauma reaction. The ways that we as Black women, because we look at intersectionality, our trauma responses are nuanced because of our social programming. Part of our social programming is we get these jobs, we stay here, you wait, you don't let these people run you out your job, right? That's our social programming.
Mm-hmm.
Coupled with that, we have the social programming that we're the strong Black woman. So if you think about all of that, you might say, okay, I know the job is making me sick. I know all these other things, but I'm not going to let these people run me out of here. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay and I'm going to fight, but that doesn't help us. So what we're trying to do in the summit is to provide a space so Black women feel validated. It is for all Black women. There's something called the 5 stages of change. So first is the pre-contemplation, like, I don't know. Is this job? I don't know. Something doesn't quite feel right, but I'm not ready to make a move. It's for you, sis. It's still for you. Okay. To the point of, you know what? It is this job. Huh. I think it's problematic, but I don't know really what to do. Right. So it's contemplative. You're reflecting on that. Right. Then it's like, wait a minute. This job is making me sick. I hate it. I got to get out of here. Let me go to the summit to get my plan. Right. So no matter where you are on that stage of commitment and change, the resources are available to Black women. So no matter where you are, that you can say, you know what, I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to go, but if I am ready to go, I have all the information, I have all the tools, I have all the resources. So when I'm ready to go, I can go. To the Black woman who's like, I want to be out. Well, then you coming in and you're going to come to the exit plan. And once you leave, you'll have an exit plan. So it's helping Black women no matter where they are with those stages of commitment to change. And it's for any Black woman, no matter what your profession, your education, where you are in the world. You know, we've heard the quote, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. During these times right now, we need to stay ready. We're seeing right now what's happening to jobs right now. Marissa told me about a quote today. I was like, what? Marissa, can you share the quote again as you shared today with me earlier?
Yeah, I think it was in April. Like 90% of the women who were laid off or fired were Black women, based on an article I had read. So it's a high number of us that are being targeted with layoffs, with being fired, based on the positions that we hold and what we see happening, especially in the US. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Terrifying, right? So the summit is not just for Black women who are in a job this is also for Black women who've been laid off. Okay. So it really provides us with all the resources we need so that whatever your life circumstance is, that you'll be able to take that information based upon your timeline and your life experiences, then you can implement the information. But there's nothing that you will lose. There's no harm to you from coming and getting this information. There's no harm to you. It will better you more than likely. So there's no harm to you if you come to the summit.
Marissa, can you talk? Let's tweak it a little. The title that I shared with you guys is how to trust yourself. Again, how to trust your gut after gaslighting. How you all have brought together some powerhouse folks. How is the structure of the summit, the presenters that you've brought together, how are they going to help me, someone that wants to turn the volume up so that I can recognize that where the dissonance is happening, so that I can begin to trust that that's not just fear, that is something I should be responsive to.
That's a really good question. So the summit kicks off Friday, May 16th with Coach Yolanda, who actually helped me heal from a very toxic, traumatic work experience. So she'll be leading us through a guided meditation, but the title of her talk is called Internal Freedom First. So really granting yourself permission to experience freedom, right? To what we've been talking about, to resist those feelings of gaslighting, know that you're being harmed, and then understand that you have the power to pivot, right? Granting yourself permission internally first before we begin the 2 full days of the summit, Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday, the theme is reclaiming yourself. So we have 10 sessions. We have speakers like Stephanie Perry kicking it off, talking about job detox, how to detox from a very toxic job experience. Rashida Dow will be speaking. Alicia Renice will be speaking about how to reclaim your creativity, something that these jobs often drain out of us, drain out of our system. So how can you reconnect with that version of yourself? Reclaim your gifts, the things that bring you joy, all these things that are so important. And I'll be talking about reclaiming your power, so owning your skills and rebuilding your self-worth. Again, these jobs try to destroy our self-worth. And so what is the process of rebuilding those pieces of yourself? That's what I'll be talking about. Dr. Kamani will be co-leading a session, Afro-Flow yoga session, to get us back into our bodies, which is so important. And I think, Dee, as you mentioned, we're socialized to turn down our alarm system in our bodies, right? And so how can you reconnect with that power that when your body is giving you these symptoms, it's telling you the environment is toxic, and then knowing that you have the power to pivot, which is what we'll be providing you with, the information, the resources at the summit. And so day 2, Sunday, is really about making your strategy. So we have Alicia of our Black Utopia talking about how to get your FIRE plan together, financial independence, retire early. Krishan Wright of our Blacks at Global will be talking about how to make money from anywhere. We have so many sessions. Patrice Lindo will be talking about how to rebrand yourself to make a career pivot, which I'm really excited about. Anne-Marie Archer, the anti-HR lady, will be talking about how to potentially negotiate a severance package if you're in a discriminatory, hostile work environment. And just so many, Kim with the Gems will be talking about how to monetize your gifts, your talents to generate income, information and resources we really need at this time as we see what's happening, to be able to lean in to your power and know that when they tried to convince you that you weren't powerful, they lied. Right. And so just really sitting with that. These sessions are meant to reflect back to you the different options that you have, even if they told you didn't have any.
So if you notice, a number of the sessions deal with money, because finances is often the main issue that keeps us at these toxic jobs. So a number of our sessions deal with money, dealing with resume, how to reboot your resume, just so that you think about, okay, what are the fears I have? And to know that the fear is normal. You're going to feel fear of making a change because it's a major life change. So the summit is a way for us to be in community with one another. When we think about fear, there's a biological component to fear that I want to break down just a little bit and talk about ways that the summit can help us. So when we're perceiving that we're under a stressful or dangerous situation, let's think about the current political climate. Let's think about our workplaces where the psychological safety is compromised. Our amygdala in our brain is perceiving we're in danger. We're in danger. So at that point, the brain kind of takes over that survival mechanism, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, right? So many of us, many Black women are in freeze mode. we're like, oh, we're in danger. Let's freeze. Let's try to stick it out. We don't know what's happening. Let's freeze. But when we do that, now we're constantly survival brain. We can't access our prefrontal cortex. That's what we think with our planning, we organize, and our judgment, right? That's offline because we're in survival mode. So the hope is that at the summit, that provides an opportunity for us as Black women to turn down that survival brain, turn down the amygdala, so we're able to access and receive the information at the summit in terms of planning, organization, and judgment. So we're thinking more rationally. Many of us are walking around in survival state and we're exhausted on top of that. So the community at the summit provides a safe community, and it's safe in the sense that you're with other Black women, but also we are very intentional with protecting privacy. So no summit attendees will be seen on camera. Names will not be listed. If a summit attendee wants to ask a question or pose a comment, they can change their name in the platform. So very intentional about that because we want Black women to feel safe in that environment. Also, the summit is recorded. So if you're not able to come to all the sessions or you miss a day, you can go back and look at the recording. And we also have bonus sessions. Marissa, can you talk about the bonus sessions?
Yeah, so we have 4 bonus masterclasses after the summit for Freedom All Access Pass holders. The first one, which we haven't announced, but yes, Coach Tish will be leading a session on how to reclaim your health, rebuild your wellness after a layoff. So that is Monday following the summit. Tuesday, Janice Sutherland will be having a session on Black women who are 50 plus, making their pivot plans from toxic jobs. Wednesday, Jackie Abram will be speaking about how to protect your career and your psyche while you're still within a toxic work environment as you're making your exit plan. And then Thursday, Dr. Roche will be having a session on how to get your money right, how to get your financial plan together to make your exit strategy. So these are 4 bonus masterclasses on Zoom following the actual summit weekend.
Yeah, Dr. Roche will also be talking about the financial exit plan. So she's the Black woman financial psychologist whom I work with. When I was on that leave, I worked with her to get my financial exit plan. And she's also going to talk about what to do about your health insurance and your retirement, because that trifecta, that will keep you at a job because you're scared about your money, your retirement, and your insurance.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This could not have come at a better time when, so fall is when self-evaluations happen at work, but the spring is when you find out who has gotten the promotions, if you have gotten a raise, and bonuses are handed out in the spring. If you are coming off of that and you say there needs to be a change, spring is happening. There is more sunlight. There is more opportunity to be outside because the days are longer. You want to be outside, and you're recognizing my energy is staying low. Sis, you might be in burnout. Burnout is the culmination of microaggressions, the culmination of gaslighting, the culmination of suppressing yourself and expressing yourself authentically, saying that hurt, I feel disrespected, you are speaking over me, and I'm in a position of responsibility. I'll just say it that way. And so what I'm saying is, this is your time. It's, y'all, for crying out loud, it's about to be Mother's Day weekend. These children need you to be your better self.
True.
Sometimes what I know is that women will do things for others when they won't do it only for themselves, when they will not prioritize themselves. I have seen mothers temporarily, if not permanently, quit smoking when they're pregnant because they know the impact that it has on their baby. If these jobs are robbing your family members, take that as your reason. Not just attend the summit, but to intentionally engage healing spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Because, hey, I just want you to head down the road of trusting yourself and seeking and finding safe spaces to express the hurt, the harm, releasing it, and then moving on, recognizing the value you have in yourself. But everybody's got to take a step. Whatever your thing is that it needs to be, get started with what you have, where you are. And I think you're going to get in a space and hear some things that will make you think twice. Because some people are ready for the introduction. Some people are ready for engaging the options, but not ready to move on them yet.
Right.
It takes time. You are worth the time. If you got your tax return and you are able to, and you have held on to it, invest in yourself, sisters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Investing. A vacation will not heal gaslighting alone.
No. No.
A FMLA 12 weeks will not. When you get in that FMLA, you're going to realize that's all. That's what your body is going to say.
Yes.
That's all you
So
giving
true.
us. But sometimes you need that interruption. So I am thankful that in the spring, that Marissa Price of Marissa Price Heals, Dr. Kimani Norrington Sands of Lifting as We Climb Consulting are disturbing the peace. They are disturbing the false peace that I feel like we have lulled ourselves into, that we have under the salve of, I got bills, whatever you have allowed to lay on top of you to press you down and allow you to stay where you are. I am inviting you to just crack open the door, let a little light in, let a little of the sisterhood connection, let somebody's story reverberate in your soul, touch you, and then allow the universe, the divine, whatever momentum force to begin the domino effect of release, liberation for you. Because hold on. Because there's power in the pivot. Okay,
Yeah.
I straight took that from the website. Because there's power in the pivot. That is what we're asking you to do. When we say trusting yourself after gaslighting, we're asking you to make a pivot. Any final words? Because y'all know I didn't put all of the goodness in the description of this video about how to continue to follow these ladies, how to participate in the Job Liberation Summit, May 16 to May 18. But what else would you like to share about that and your work specifically?
I'm going to say some things that might step on some people's toes here, okay? But I'm doing so lovingly. We need to be able to be honest. This is real talk. So when we hear responses, or when as a Black woman, you hear about the summit, what comes up for you? Do you say to yourself automatically, I got bills to pay, I can't do that? Do you automatically shut it down? And where's that automatic response coming from? It may be a fear response because you are making perceptions of what we're saying. I need for you to tone down that amygdala. The amygdala's probably operating right now, survival mode. This is hopefully a safe community for you to hear this. Tone it down a little bit and just hear what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we all have bills. We all have bills. Marissa and I, with the summit, this is not just saying to Black women, girl, liberate from that job. You don't need a job. Just go out and live your life. That is not what we're saying. What we are saying is we are providing resources to help you learn how to replace your income. We're talking about multiple sessions. Not only that you need to do it, how do you actually do it? So yes, we all have bills. With that understanding, that is part of the reason why we created the summit. to find ways so you can pay bills and not be in an environment that's killing you, not being in an environment that's harming you, not having an environment where it takes over your whole life. And so you can't really think of anything else besides your job. Okay. So sis, this is an understanding that we all have bills. The summit is a way to help you pay your bills in a different way so you can save your sanity, you can save your health at the same time. The other thing is this is an investment. So this is you are spending money to get something from this. If you saw the roster of the powerhouse speakers, one or two of those speakers is enough for the price of the summit already. So think about this as an investment where you're going to get a return on your investment, not only in the moment, just that sense of, wait a minute, I can now see options for me and I can follow up on these options. That's priceless. But even after the summit, you will continue to use what you've learned after the summit. So there might be some fear responses that are happening right now that you hear it, but you're like, yeah, not me. Or yeah, but I can't, right? So when you start doing that, I invite you to pause for a moment and just interrogate or be curious about, why am I shutting this down right away? Is this my fear response? And let me lean into, what is this fear response about? And look at what the summit is going to offer you and realistically say, you know what? Being prepared, how can that ever hurt me? Planning, how can that ever hurt me? Knowing about my choices, how can that ever hurt me? That cannot hurt you. Okay. So just kind of be mindful of that. I just want to just put that out there.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say we just had two Black women who attended the summit last year share their stories on our YouTube channels. And what they shared kind of blew us away. We had no idea that people were able to form communities within the chat to keep their momentum going, to keep their progress going. And to see like people still using the information and the aha moments that were achieved at the summit, like still carrying through a year later, right? So the impact of this is lifelong. Mm-hmm. Once you're able to see the options that await you, you're able to apply that to different areas of your life too, not just a job, to see that you are actually free, right? Mm-hmm. You do have the ability to pivot in any environment that you find yourself in that's harming you. And that's not your only choice. That's what's sold to us so often, that we just have to be okay with being harmed and traumatized to uphold other people's luxury, right, lives. We're challenging that narrative. No, we're not here to serve you, right, at the detriment of ourselves. So it's really tapping into that inner power once again.
Yeah. And also knowing that the thought of even leaving a job makes you terrified. You are fearful. You don't know what to do. I understand that. We understand that. Fear is part of the process. Dealing with the fear, walking through the fear, that's part of the process. Marissa and I have gone through that. And so that's why we are reaching back and helping Black women walk through the fear by providing the resources. The fear is going to be there, but it's less fearful. All the speakers that are there, all the Black women speakers, they've all gone through something and they're sharing back based upon their expertise in these different areas.
I am always grateful to have the depth of sisterhood in the connections that the three of us have shared over the years, how you all have invested in me and helping me see myself as a creative, as someone worthy of speaking up, and that my story can inspire others. I hope that your survivalship of a toxic work environment is where you don't see the end of your story. That you're able to say, this is where my pivot happened. This is where I reclaim my power. This is where I reclaim my creativity. This is where I said, you cannot pay me enough money to shelve my talent. You are not allowed to shrink my confidence in the natural ability that I have to do the things. Yes, I have training, but I have been sprinkled with an empowerment beyond myself to give the gifts that I give on this job. Most of us are doing this work out of passion. If you are in social service, you are definitely not necessarily in that for the pay. You are in it for the passion.
Yes.
And yet, come on now. Come on, come on, servant teacher Nikki. Fear can be the killer of dreams,
Yes.
baby. Not on my watch anymore. That's what I'm saying now. I will not allow a toxic work environment to be the killer of any more of my dreams. Because when you cannot trust in yourself, believe in yourself, you have robbed the world of what you are here to do. Dare I say purpose? Dare I say purpose? I do want to make sure that we're coming back to the center of this. Believe yourself. Believe yourself first, because guess what? I already believe you. Your perspective, even if I don't think it is not my right to say, even as another Black woman, to say that your experience, what you're experiencing, isn't turning on that trigger for you, that heightened sense of fight, flight, or freeze. It is not activating that for you. So I want you to believe yourself first, and then put yourself in communities, begin to push back and build a safety zone. But you ain't got to do that by yourself. Yes, I used ain't. Okay, you need to be in community where people have already pushed back. They've already created the safe space. You can walk in that space as transparent as you are ready to do so. Literally, when I was building this, the reason why I wanted to talk about trusting yourself and gaslighting is because I believe those who know I don't even use my name, my government name on the internet.
Yes.
And that is because of the perception of how I need to create safety for myself. And so I want you all to recognize it, to recognize that there are folks that believe in you and that trust you to believe in yourself. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kimani.
Thank you, Dee.
These are my soul sisters. And I hope that you are developing that connection as well. I'm about to put this, release your life. Thank you. If this has been meaningful for you, please tap the like button. Thank you for reminding me to say that today. Hey, sisters are look, we need more time, but FMLA is at your disposal. If your employer meets the criteria, sometimes you just need to have a break to hear yourself, to feel how fast your heartbeat is, to recognize that you haven't gone to the hairdresser because you don't want nobody to know how much your hair is falling out.
For real.
Y'all, I'm not here to share my story, but I'm just saying the sooner you touch that part of yourself, healing is available to you. How you heal, the process of your healing, the time frame is all determined for you. But we encourage you, each of us are just encouraging you to do that today.
Yeah. Can I say something really quick? Okay. So I was thinking about two things. I was thinking about what you said, Dee. One is that sometimes we say things to ourselves like, oh, I don't want to stay. I don't want to make any changes. I want to stay because this is a safe environment. We're not in safe environments right now. We're not. There's so much job instability right now. There's no safety. So we lie to ourselves that what we're familiar with is safe. So sometimes trauma can seem familiar, but it's not safe. right? So being mindful of that. The other thing that I wanted to say is, as we're talking about fight, flight, freeze, fawn response with survival, we have to be mindful as Black women that we're not fighting the people who are providing the resources available to us, right? So that means, are we open to receiving what we are providing? Or are we fighting, right? So are we misdirecting that energy towards other Black women who look like us, right? Or look like you, fighting, as opposed to thinking about, wait a minute, that misdirected energy, that angst, that anger is towards racism, sexism, and all these other issues, oppression. But are you fighting a resources available to you that Marissa and I are just talking to you about? Are you fighting the opportunity to come to the summit because of your own challenges and misdirected energy towards resisting what might be available to you as an option out? Or are we lying to ourselves about, I'm going to stay put in this so-called environment, lying to ourselves that it's secure, and it really is. It might be familiar, but it's not secure, it's not safe.
Well said. I'm going to end with that. The details for how to register for the Job Liberation Summit are in the description of this video. The promotional video that shows you so that you can see and hear who will be sharing those stepping stones that they have made and that you can make to build a plan that is tailored to your timeline, your readiness, is also in the description. Continue to engage communities that are building tribes, community space for healing. Marissa Price Heals, Lifting as We Climb, Consulting are two of those spaces, and I'm hoping that you also see H&D Abroad, especially the days when I go live with the sisters as an additional space for us to explore ourselves and to say, I am worth every single moment of investing in myself, in my growth, in my healing, and that today is the best day to begin that. So that's all we have for today. Bye for now. Thanks, ladies.
Bye. Thank you, Dee.